guys, this is Pixel Dan coming to you from the 2018 New York Toy Fair, and I'm here at the Super7 booth with my buddy Brian Flynn. How's it going, Brian?
Are we on buddy level now?
We are definitely on buddy level, right?
I didn't know, because, all your cred just left now.
Oh,
everybody thinks you're not impartial now that we're buddies.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This is just some guy I know, Brian. He does He-Man toys.
I don't even do Masters. I only do He-Man.
Just him. So how's the show going for you so far?
It's going great, as always. It's Toy Fair.
It's the second day. You already don't have a voice.
I didn't have a voice before I got here, so
man.
I'm working on my, my gravitas.
I like it.
There you go.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff that we have in the case here. What do we have on display here at the show? Anything new specifically that you want to talk about first?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing for us in terms of new is the fact that we actually went back into all the tooling on the 5.5-inch figures that everybody saw before, and we've retooled all the waist and hip joints and leg joints on everything. So if you look at these earlier plastic first shots, the hips aren't working correctly, and it was this long process of trying to evolve from the rubber bands, use the later pivot joints that they used, but those late pivot joints still got sideways feet. We want straight feet, so we're turning them, and they just were it was a lot of weird engineering. So we've gone back and redone all the hip joints on every figure so that they all stand correctly.
Cool. Okay.
So part of the reason people are like, where are the 5.5-inch figures?
Right.
It's like, well, because we're fixing them.
Okay. So that's part of the delay then that we've had with them.
Obviously, Beastman and Man-at-Arms hanging out.
Brand new figures that you revealed at the show. Beastman and Man-at-Arms adding to the collection. Straight out of Filmation. Those are very cool looking.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. So I think you also said something about a possible retail partner for these. Is that part of the reason these have been delayed, or do you have any announcements on when these are going to be on sale?
This has been also something. There is a retail partner that was supposed to launch these figures. It was supposed to be fairly soon. Plans keep changing all the time, as happens. So ideally, it would be great to have them at a place where everyone could walk to the store and buy them.
Right.
That plan keeps changing by the day.
Okay.
If it goes on for too much longer, though, we're literally just going to release them ourselves.
Okay.
But the idea was that it debuted at a place where people could buy toys.
Okay.
And that it could get out there to people. Right. So I can't say who, I can't talk about it specifically, but we've been waiting for them and sitting here with them for quite a while.
Okay. Is there any sort of a price point level that you can say on them yet?
They're $19.99.
$19.99.
$19.99.
Okay, cool. There we go. So, and Hiro and Eldor are here still as well, and they were kind of the ones that we first shown off. Yes. Specifically, I want to ask, Hiro is going to have the vac metal armor?
Of course.
Okay.
We have the vac metal sample that we usually put out, but it's like, it kind of just looks messy if I just put this weird torso, because everybody's like, oh, does it come with two torsos? It's like, no. But this is the same sample that everybody saw at PowerCon. It's the same sample they saw at New York Comic Con. So we are tooling him up. He's just not tooled yet.
Gotcha.
Finished.
All right. Very cool. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about the Masters of the Universe Classics line and the Filmation line. First of all, there's nothing brand new here, right? Nothing that we have not already seen is on display here. So where's the toys, Brian?
No. And before we showed up, we're like, everybody's going to kill us for not showing the new stuff. But the reality is, these figures just started shipping on Friday. These figures, the pre-order hasn't even closed yet. I want to finish this, get this moving, and then we'll show you what's next. Let's not get so far ahead of ourselves that we forget about what we're trying to finish first. And secondly, on the new figures we're working on, when we've shown these figures in the past, they've been like, here's the very first pass. And then everybody's like, well, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. It's like, yes, it's the first pass. So by the time we show you the new figures, we'll be much further along, and they will be much more accurate. So hopefully, second, when I start showing you new stuff, you'll be like, oh, look, they did a really good job this time. And then third, they'll be that much closer so that when we actually do the pre-order, I can ship them in a more timely manner.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
Sorry, everybody. I know you're waiting, but we got some really cool shit, but I got to finish this shit first.
Gotcha. So let's talk about the ones you have on display here, because this is the wave that's shipping now. Triclops, Tila, Hordak, and Man-at-Arms. And also, yes, and everything looks fantastic. So we got it's Fangor and Hawk and Lodar and Quake. These are all the ones that are shipping now. So these are like the final figures that are here in the case. Let's talk about like Triclops, because I know he's been a big topic of discussion online, specifically with the color of his armor.
Right. And I don't have any disagreements for people that are upset about what we've shown previously and then what we showed later. I understand that we showed you dark green and we didn't give you. The biggest thing is when we put them side by side on the shelf, they were too similar for me. And I was like, why are you buying this new Triclops if it looks the same as the old one? So how do we differentiate this one further from your other Triclops? So, pardon my voice, they look different. And when we made the change, it was part of the process. I know people are upset about it, and I'm sorry that they are. We will try to fix it later for some people. But for right now, we finished it in light green. So I can't magically make the dark green ones appear. But I understand why people are upset about it. And that we could have done better about talking about the running changes that happen during the evolution of any figure.
Right. Okay, and I think you guys said you kind of based that off of like what you were looking at on cell art and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's actually animated. It turns into a different color on screen. And it really came back down to when you put those on the shelf, are you looking at two nearly identical figures or two disparate figures? Right. And so we tried to further differentiate this one from the other Triclops so that you look like you had two different figures. Right. But not everybody agrees with that decision, and I understand.
Okay, and that's fine. And it's always one of those things that's kind of an ongoing thing and a discussion too with folks online, right?
Well, I think what people don't realize because they don't see it is with any one of these figures, we're constantly making changes as we go through the process. What we could have done more is tell people, hey, here's a change that we've made.
Gotcha.
But I think once that first figure was shown, that's what's burned into everybody's brain.
Of course, yeah.
So that's part of the reason I don't want to show the next figures yet, because let's get tighter on those figures.
All ties back together. Yeah.
When you see it, you're like, oh, that's what they're doing.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
That would be the plan.
Okay, all right, well, there we go. So with some of the other stuff, you do have the prototypes here for the Merman, the Tongue Lasher. We saw all these guys at San Diego Comic-Con. Has anything changed with these yet, or are these the same samples?
Those are the same samples. Okay. They're all at the factory being tooled in a lot of ways, and then there's still changes that happen after tooling. But we're actually in process on them, and we're trying to get it so that once the pre-orders end, we can deliver much quicker.
Okay.
Granita's got some updates with some of her accessories and things, but for the most part, they're the same samples because it's the same perfectly painted resin sample.
Right.
Like, okay, now everything else is unpainted, so what do I show? A bunch of unpainted stuff or the painted one? Exactly. People want the painted one.
Right. Okay, very cool. So the pre-orders for that wave is still open, right? Are sales doing okay with those?
They're doing all right.
Yeah?
They're doing all right. What we've always seen is like the first week's really strong and the last week is really strong.
Of course, yeah.
And so, so we're going to, now that we're actually shipping this, I wasn't going to close this pre-order till people have these figures in hand.
Gotcha.
Because for a lot of people, they want to hold them and make sure they feel good.
Yeah.
And so we'll close this pre-order on March 15th.
March 15th. So you have until then to get your order in for Wave 2. So get to it.
So you should have your figures for several weeks by the time that happens.
That's
so
good. Okay.
You can decide if you still like us or not.
Excellent. All right. So that's all the info on classics. There's more on the way, though. So confirmation there is more coming.
There's a lot more coming.
A lot more coming.
I
like
more
that.
coming. It's just we got to shorten up our delivery timelines. We got to show more final product rather than prototype product. And I think that will alleviate headaches for everybody.
Okay. Oh, and how about the PowerCon exclusives? When can we expect to see those?
Soon. Ideally, same thing. It's like, how many things are you trying to keep track of at a time? Ideally, I would like to show them after March 15th.
Okay.
We'll see if Val has a different opinion.
Yep.
But ideally, it would be like, okay, March 15th is done. We're done talking about this. Now let's talk about PowerCon.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's next.
All right. Very cool. All right, so let's move along then to reaction.
Yes.
Because you've got some new Masters of the Universe reaction figures in here that look pretty spectacular.
And our Evil Lyn guy is finally getting his Evil Lyn.
Yay!
So all of his dreams have come true.
And we also have,
I don't know who that guy is.
is it Ricky?
There's
Shout out to my boy Ricky.
I can't remember your name. I'm sorry, but there's a guy that's just like, where is Evil Lyn?
I bet it's Ricky.
And then it's like, here she is. I've got her for you.
So we also have Scareglow, which looks amazing, and I assume he glows in the dark, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then we've got Faker. We've got Mechanic with
With the lever.
there's a lever on his back that makes his neck grow.
Exactly.
We got Orko and Ram Man.
Yep. Orko and Ram Man. Wave 4.
They look fantastic. Just really fun. I love that you're continuing that and kind of reimagining these guys in that kind of that classic Kenner style. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for those guys, they really love this line.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys that'll be like, why did you spend time making that when you didn't make a new Classics? It's like, I'm making your Classics.
Doing everything, and that's the thing.
Well, here's the thing. I'm showing you finished samples.
Yeah.
Nobody saw prototypes of these reaction figures. Nobody saw samples of them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here they are. They're done. They're finished.
Yeah.
Oh, they look great.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be doing that with Classics and, Club Grayskull. Maybe.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
So after reaction, we've got muscle, and I believe you guys are kind of changing the muscle line around a little bit, right?
Yeah. We're kind of twisting it a bit, and we're going back to the original source material. So what these figures are, they're Japanese Keshi figures, and they were muscle when imported by Mattel was a Keshi figures from Kinnikuman that they brought over. So we've sort of gone back to the original Keshi concept because even for me in the 90s, I would go to Japanese grocery stores and buy the little candy with the Keshi inside. And we're like, how do we go back to that? So we can't legally do the candy, those little sugar pellets that they put in there.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to do them in little boxes where you can get a Keshi figure. It'll have a Bakura Man style sticker of the character, and those will be in little boxes. So it'll be like, for me at least, it'll be like when I went into a Wajimaya or the different Japanese grocery stores and I used to buy all the candy toys. We're trying to sort of take it back to the original Keshi roots.
Gotcha. Okay, so they'll be in these single figure blind boxes now, and you've introduced She-Ra into this series. So there's a whole.
Should we run down there?
We can do. I can get footage of it all too, so we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to stand right in front of it if you want. But you got She-Ra and the Horde with that set, right?
Yeah, so there's 12 figures down there. There's 6 She-Ra and 6 Horde, and we're probably going to split it into 2 different boxes. So there'll be She-Ra boxes that have She-Ra art on them, and then there'll be Horde boxes that have Horde art on them.
Very cool. So are you only going to do the blind boxes with these now, or are you going to continue the 3-packs as well?
We won't be doing the 3-packs, but we may do the trash cans.
Oh, you might do the trash cans.
We might do the trash cans, and then the trash cans would have all 12.
Would have all of them.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The trash cans people really like.
The trash cans are awesome.
But it's one
Yeah.
of those things you remember from a kid. You're like, I had the trash can.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, I love it because you guys are just doing. I mean, you're doing so much with Masters. You've got the 5.5s. You've got the reaction. You've got the muscle. I mean, you guys are doing all these different scales, all these different types of toys. It's really cool.
Yeah, and there's some soft vinyl coming out later the year. We'll still keep trying to make all the fun, different stuff that we've made.
Yeah.
And hopefully people will be happy about it.
Very cool. All right, so I have a few questions, if you don't mind if I ask you. These questions were collected from the forums over at heman.org, and they were sent to us from Val. Our buddy Val, what's up, Val? All right, so I think we answered actually a lot of these while we were talking, so I'm going to go through here. Let's see. So pre-orders will end March 15th, which is the answer to that first question. You said Wave 2 is doing pretty well. Yep. Somebody asked where all the new Masters of the Universe Classics product is. See, we hammered all these.
We're never going to make anything
What?
again.
What?
Never.
All right, well, here's a hard-hitting question for you. Are you aware that the leg pegs that go into the new female crotch sections might be too long and the legs are not sitting flush against the cross section, giving the appearance that the hips are too wide?
When we retooled those hips, we've retooled them twice. And there are a lot of different parts. So there are the legs, there are the hip itself, there's the pins, there's the discs, and there's the jointed mechanism. All of these are there's 3 iterations of all of them. They're all different sizes. I think that the medium pins are in there instead of the shorter pins but I've also seen some that have shorter pins, so we think that there's a little bit of variance in some of the hips.
Okay.
And this is, I know where this question came from because I discussed it with somebody yesterday.
Yeah.
So where I was going like, there are ones that have short pins. We think some of them actually got medium pins as well, and so you're going to see a little bit of variance in there.
Okay.
But none of them have the long pins.
Okay, none of them have the long pins. Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we looked at lots of these and they kept looking good, but I think some of them have the medium pins.
Okay.
So.
All right, got it. So the next question is also still kind of about Tila there. This one specifically says a lot of fans are unhappy with how the factory treated Tila's head. Are there any immediate plans to re-release the Tila head that's more accurate to the prototype?
There's two things here. When they say more accurate to the prototype, it's actually pretty accurate to the prototype. There's a lot of blown up photoshops of what her head could look like, but the things that people are asking for actually can't be reproduced at that scale. It's literally this big. And I think once people hold it, like there was a person here yesterday that was very upset, has been not upset, very vocal about Tila's face. And then yesterday he was like, well, I hold it in my hand, it's really not that bad. Like, yeah, I know. Like, it's a thing where people are taking a picture through a glass, across a case with uneven lighting, and then blowing it up this big and going, oh, it's all screwed up, or it doesn't match this. And it's like, that color is off, everything is off. Like, we're not specifically making a shitty Tila head just to piss people off. I think it's a really good head. I think that some of the things people have asked for are not reproducible, but we're going to try to make the best Tila head we can. I don't want to make a shitty product. So, I don't have a good answer for people who are like, it's the worst head ever. It's like, we made a really nice head. I'm sorry that you don't like it. Hopefully, it'll be okay when you have it in your hand.
Okay. There we go. So I think we've answered pretty much all of these questions already. So we're going to end on the last one that actually is asking if you had any idea or any thoughts on releasing a print card set of the card back art for the reaction figures, because that artwork is really awesome.
I don't think anybody's asked that ever before.
Well, it's just been asked.
If people wanted it, we could do it.
Okay.
But I haven't actually had anybody ask me about it. People ask me where to buy the originals, but they don't ask me about a print card set. But if it was something people asked for, it would be easy to do.
Okay. Well, there you go. Is that something you guys want? Do you want like prints of the artwork from the reaction figures? Let Brian know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
News to me.
There you go.
So, yeah, I think as a whole, like, we knew by not putting new stuff out, we were going to hear about it. But I think once they see the new stuff, people will be like, oh, okay, I got it. I understand.
Okay. Well, there you guys go. There's a look at what Super7 has on display for the Masters of the Universe brand at Toy Fair. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through all of this. We really appreciate it.
I hope it's helpful for people. I don't know if it is.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Take care, Dan.
There you guys go, and stay tuned. More to come from the 2018 New York Toy Fair.
Stay up to date with Pixel Dan at Toy Fair. Follow at Pixel Dan on Twitter or /Pixel Dan on YouTube.com. Thanks for tuning in to your premier source for all things toys, Pixel Dan. See you again.